The difference between Mark Pope and John Calipari at the end of the day is recruiting. Calipari can put together a team every single year. He'll have the best players, 5 stars, McDonald's All-Americans, all of that, every single year. He's not a good X's and O's coach. He never will be. Calipari cannot finish a game. We saw that again this year. But you need to get assistant coaches who can do that. If Calipari can relinquish some of that to his assistant coaches, he would legitimately be the best coach of all time. He is a master recruiter. Mark Pope is an X and O coach that can't recruit at all. And I mean, if you really read the articles, you listen to KSR, Mark Pope doesn't draw up all of the sets. The assistant coaches do a lot of the offensive sets. The assistant coaches do a lot on this team. So you can't just give all the credit to Mark Pope. So Mark Pope needs to be way more involved within the recruiting process of this team. The transfer portal has been open. Kentucky should have multiple transfer portal targets already on our team. And we don't. We're waiting. We only have the guy from Tulane. Kentucky should have more freshmen. And we don't. We're still waiting. I don't even think that we're going to get any more incoming freshmen. So the difference between the two teams is that with Calipari, you know you're going to have a team purely off talent every single year. Whether or not the X's and O's are there, you don't know. With Mark Pope, whether or not the X's and O's are there, you're pretty sure they're going to show up, but you also know that our team's just not going to be as talented. I would take Calipari. I'm a traditional Cal guy. I want my team to be the favorites every single game. I want my team to have the best players on the floor at every single moment of the game. Give me John Wall, Devin Booker, Carl Towns, Anthony Davis. Give me those guys. I don't want to see Amari Williams out on the floor. I don't want an underdog team. I'm not interested in that. Give me the overdogs. Give me the favorites. That's what I want Kentucky to be. Preseason #1 every single year. That's what Kentucky should be. People forget who Zion Williamson was in college. He still is, to this day, 2025, the best college basketball player who has ever played. Just because he's not panning out as well in the NBA doesn't change that season as college. He is the only him and Wembanyama are the only generational prospects that we've seen in the last since LeBron James. Like realistically, like generational as a prospect, Zion Williamson and Victor Wembanyama are the only prospects that are actually like that. When Zion was at Duke, there was nobody stopping him. You couldn't guard him. He was going to lock you down. And he was still 360ing, windmilling, like jumping over people in game in college. Like he was the greatest college basketball player, is the greatest college basketball player of all time. Now, Zion got to the league and he's always been overweight. Zion Williamson was always overweight. That was going to be his downfall from day one. Now he's gotten to the point where he's played just under 500 games in his NBA career, and he's missed more games than he's actually played. I don't know what to attest this to, but living in New Orleans can't be the solution for this. New Orleans is a city known for fried food and not eating well, and that's obviously not something that Zion's handling. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how many team trainers, how many nutritionists come to him. He's not able to manage his weight. So they need to trade him. New Orleans needs to ship him off. They need to realize this isn't the environment for him. We aren't the this is not the environment for him. He isn't the person that can bring our team to success. They need to move Zion Williamson and actually let him get a fresh start in his career. They might have to send him out west and get some clean eats. But Zion Williamson is still a star. He is still a generational prospect. And when he's on the floor, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. When he's actually playing, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's as dominant as he was in college. You still can't guard him, still jumps higher than everybody. He just needs to lose weight and be consistent. If he were consistent, we'd be talking about Zion Williamson every single year as the MVP of the league. Auburn and Florida play in the Final Four, and there's a few key things to know. First off, Auburn doesn't have a chance to beat Florida in the Final Four. Florida is a well-rounded team in which every single player on their team is a threat to score and can score. If you look at Auburn play and you look at their box score, Janai Broome should not be one of 2 guys scoring in double digits. Last game, Janai Broome had 25 points and the next highest scoring player had 10. That you could just lock him down. If you focus the whole game plan on one guy and make the rest of the team play, Auburn's going to lose. When Auburn played Florida earlier this season, they lost. So, what are they going to do to rewrite the script and to change things? Bruce Pearl is one of the best coaches in college basketball when it comes to motivating his team to play. Bruce Pearl is an alpha male, a dominant coach. He is the who's Georgia's football coach? Kirby Smart? Kirby Smart, right? Bruce Pearl is the Kirby Smart of college basketball. He gets his team fired up to play every single game, and those guys come out and they compete like nothing else. He gets smoke running out of their ears because he's that great of a motivator. That's his greatest strength. What is not his greatest strength is X's and O's, right? His team, he can get out game plan. There have been games when Auburn loses, they lose because they are out game planned. They can't execute, and when they lose, you know it from the beginning of the game. It doesn't take 5 minutes into the ball game to know, oh, Auburn's about to lose this one. And that's Bruce Pearl's deficit. But as a basketball coach, a motivator, an alpha male, and a championship caliber coach, that's who Bruce Pearl is. So I expect Auburn to come out and fight. I expect them to play well. But with how one dimensional they are as a basketball team, they can't do it all through Janai Broom. Janai Broom is also one of the softest players that I've ever seen. Last game, he went down, he twisted his ankle. He goes to the locker room. He gets a full x ray, waits for the x ray results to come back. And then they're like, oh, negative. He runs back on the court, immediately checks in, starts playing, knocks down a three. I think he scored a couple buckets. He like got a block and a rebound or something like that. It's like, all right, let's pause this. You were never hurt. You were ready to end your entire college career selfishly. Selfishly end your entire college career because you thought you might have rolled your ankle in the Elite Eight? You were going to give up on your teammates? What is that? And then the x ray results come back and they're like, oh, it's literally nothing. No sprain, no bruise. There's literally nothing. And then he runs back on the court. Janai Broom is the softest basketball player that I've ever seen. Janai Broom is the most Gen Z basketball player that I've ever seen. Please do not compare Walter Clayton Jr. to Stephen Curry. Don't do it. Don't do it. Florida doesn't need Walter Clayton to be successful. He didn't score until there was 5 minutes left in the first half. And then all the way through the second half, he was quiet until the end of the game with 3 minutes left. He made a bunch of crazy shots because they needed him to shoot out of desperation. That's not called being a great player or a generational player. That's called being a microwave. Every SEC team has a microwave on their team, a guy who can get hot out of nowhere, make a bunch of crazy shots. Walter Clayton is closer to Malik Monk than he is to Steph Curry. Being dead serious, Malik Monk was smoking crack while he was in the NBA. Walter Clayton is closer to Malik Monk than he is to Stephen Curry. Do not compare the two. It's not close. Florida's a good basketball team because of their length. They have guys subbing off the bench who are 6'9, 6'10, 6'11, who are changing the game and spacing the floor. Other teams don't have that. That makes Florida impossible to beat. If there was a team who was really going to beat Duke or put a whooping on Duke, it would be Florida. I think that Florida is the best team in the country. I think they'll beat Auburn easy. And then I think they'll beat Houston in the national championship. Like, their length is something crazy. I think Walter Clayton is a good player. I don't think in the NBA he's going to be anything special. Every NBA player was Walter Clayton at one point in time. But the rest of their team, their supporting cast, is just guy after guy after guy after guy. And after a while, that's going to wear you down. You can't just keep playing against those guys if you only have 5, 6, 7 players playing. So Florida's my pick for the national championship. I really do think that they're the best and the most talented team left in the tourney. But it's also a tournament, right? Like anybody could get upset. Auburn could come out and play their mind out and win.